Hey everyone, it's Anne Manera, and we are back again today for another color along from Volume 18, Color Along Variety Coloring Book. Today's color along topic is complementary colors. Now, let's take a few minutes to talk about exactly what complementary colors are. I have a tutorial in my coloring handbook, Volume 3, all about complementary colors. So let's see if we can flip over to the page about complementary colors. Now, what the heck are complementary colors? I mean, come on. Let's look at the word first of all. The word is similar to the word complement, except it has an E instead of an I. Now, even though it's spelled differently, you need to think of it as colors that do in fact complement one another or look good together, look good next to one another. I want to say two things about this. First of all, what a color that looks good to you may not look good to someone else. Two colors next to each other may look good to you, and to someone else they may not look good. So I think that complementary colors are a personal choice. But for today's coloring tutorial, we're going to talk about complementary colors that are found on the color wheel and how and why they are on the color wheel and what kind of like the whole. I'm going to do like a mini color theory demonstration today. So if you take a look at this page in my coloring handbook, Volume 3, we talk about colors that are opposite one another on the color wheel. So this little illustration of a color wheel is demonstrating that purple and yellow are opposite one another on the color wheel and therefore complement one another when they are next to each other. Now, what does that mean, right? Like, okay, they complement each other, but exactly what does that mean? Does it just mean that they look good together? Well, sometimes some colors bring out the best in other colors. So it's like being with a really good friend that brings out the best in you. So when you take a look at complementary colors, it's as if they enhance one another. And they look, not only do they look good next to one another, but each color is making the other color look good and look better. So you can see you can just kind of turn this little dial here and just kind of look to see again that blue and orange complement each other, next to each other. Now, pink and brown also complement one another. Brown and blue also complement one another. So as long as it's kind of in that family and it's opposite one another. The other thing is that how do you know what colors you want to put together? You know, it's the complementary color is created by mixing primary colors. So let's just talk about primary colors. Let's back up for 1 second. So primary colors are all about the three main colors that will create more colors. So you can just live with red, yellow, and blue forever. And that could be the only colors you have. So say you want to buy some paint and you want to start painting, for example, but you really can't afford to buy a whole set of paint. Just buy red, yellow, and blue. And I mean, you could buy white and black too, but we're not going to talk about white and black today. It's a whole other topic. So what red, yellow, and blue, those primary colors will create the complementary colors. So let me see. Let's turn back in this book for the color wheel. So when you take a look at this color wheel, which all of my coloring handbooks are in, have color wheels on them. And let me just back up 1 second and let you know that the links to all of the books that I'm using today and talking about today, the coloring handbook, all of the links can be found in the description of this video. The page we're working on today is also from Gnome Life Coloring Book. That can be found. The description can be found. And all of the products that I'm using during this color along and any other color alongs can also be found in my Amazon influencer shop. And if you make a purchase using through those links, I do earn a small commission. But what's good about my Amazon influencer shop is that there is actually a section with all of the products that I use for this particular color along book, as well as other products that I love, have used for years, have on my own personal wish list, and that have been recommended to me by others. So you can take a look at that. The other last thing I want to say is if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so that you know every time I drop a new video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps helps me be able to create more videos for you and get out this content. Okay, so the color wheel. Let's talk about the color wheel. We've got 3 colors: red, yellow, blue. They can all be mixed together and each one, if you mix 2 of them together, you will create the secondary colors, which are the complementary colors. This book has a worksheet so that you can go ahead and create your own. So for example, if you mix red and yellow, you will get orange. If you mix blue and yellow, you will get green. And if you mix red and blue, you will get purple. So we're talking about complementary colors in the sense that the complementary colors not only are those colors of orange, purple, and green, but they also complement each other, okay? So we want to make sure that there's no rules, you know? It's art is subjective, and what you find appealing may not be appealing to somebody else. And so it's just all about what happens with your own personal opinion. The other way you can figure out what colors look good together is to use color palettes and take a look at maybe a color palette in some inspiration books. I have a few different inspiration books, and I'll link them over in the description below. And they're just simply, these are actually from the color palette books that I have on Amazon, and you can just take a look at the photograph and what colors jump out to you in each of these. And this one here with these different colored leaves, these are all of the colors that kind of come out into that. So you can use these color palettes for inspiration to color something like this. So for example, in this worksheet, you can take these colors here that are coming from this photograph to color this little mandala, and for this, and for this, and for this. So that's how you use those types of color palettes. And if you have any questions about that, be sure to just let me know. We can go further about the color palette worksheet. But you can find all of this information in my Coloring Handbook Volume 3. So let's get started on complementary colors. So I'm not going to have my color wheel out. I just want to talk about what looks good together. We're going to be using Faber Castell Super Tip markers today. I'm sorry, Super Tip Duo Tip markers. We're going to be using Faber Castell Duo Tips. And these markers are cool because they have 2 different colors on each marker. Some markers are called Duo Tips because they have a chisel tip or a wide tip on one and a small tip on the other, but these have just a chisel tip on each side, and it's just one color. Sometimes you'll find a marker that has maybe a complementary color just within the marker itself, like what 2 colors are together, but not all the time. So I'm not going to worry about that part. I just kind of have them living in this box. I don't have them in a special case or anything. So the first thing I'm going to do is start out with this orange color because, you know, orange, what can we say? And I'm going to color this guy's beard with this orange. And I'm going to stick with using things that complement one another. So which color am I going to put next to each other? I'm going to try to stick with purple, green, yellow, purple, orange, and green. But again, it's not about the complementary colors on the actual color wheel as much as it's really about what complements one another. So it's kind of a dual meaning with complementary colors. It means not only do they complement one another and look good together, he's kind of a green for the middle of his mouth, but they also are on the opposite side of one another on that color wheel. So let's take some purple because that's the opposite of this orange color and give it an a purple color here. So there you go, 2 colors that are opposite one another on that wheel that look good together. Now think about what other colors that you might think look good together, complement each other, lift each other up, as they say, you know, if you're with some good friends and they all kind of like make you better, make you become a better person. What lifts you up? What colors make you feel better? What colors do you think are a complement to one another? Maybe you love green, maybe you love yellow, maybe you love, I don't know, leave a comment, put put a comment in the comments below. What is your what 2 colors are your go-to colors that you think, wow, those 2 look really good together, and those are the ones that I am going to place next to each other all the time, and they are just going to complement one another. So here I am working with this purple color, right? I do want to also bring in a dark purple for the pockets, which is almost like a blue, right? But it's purple. And then I'm going to use purple on his shoes. And I'll give him some purple gloves too. Now, I do have a piece of paper behind here so that it doesn't bleed through. I want to make sure that I don't get marker on my next page. And I also want to make sure that it's protected, you know, because it will in fact bleed through it. Now I'm going to give it this purple color, which is a different shade. So I guess how I'm going to approach this page is by whatever the objects are. So here's this guy right here, this little gnome dude, and he's getting the treatment with the purples and the oranges, okay? With the exception of his nose, I'm thinking it should just be yellow, because why not? I don't know why. I don't really know what color noses are. Do you? Now let's go with some blue. Now again, blue can also have orange. The other color that's on the opposite side of the color wheel from purple is yellow. So that's another one that looks good together. But for this one, I'm using the kind of this turquoise color. And now I'm going to add some yellow to this one. And I'm going to kind of do it in a scratchy method for that, just to kind of give it a little bit of texture. And the other color we talked about that could complement that would be, in fact, be an orange, but I'm going to add a different shade of blue for his little gloves and for his shoes. And even for his beard, we'll give it this light blue color. He can be called Bluebeard. I don't know why, but when I color this this page from the pages from this Gnome Friends coloring book, I always tend to start from the bottom and make my way up. I don't really know why. My hand is getting too full there. I'm going to give him a yellow nose. And I'm going to pop some black into his where his mouth is, right there. Okay. Now let's talk about pink. Where is pink? Here's kind of a neon pink. Let's go with this for the neon walls. Now, when you take a look at what would complement pink, what would make pink look good? What do you think? Leave a comment below. I read all the comments, by the way. I love when there's comments. It always makes me think, wow, someone's really watching, someone's really listening, someone's really paying attention. Okay, I'm thinking brown. I don't know about you, but let's test this one. That's cool, right? That's a cool brown. So let's do the middle side here. This is kind of like a fence with some brown. Back here, I'm going to leave the little circles that are in the middle of this fence. I'm going to leave those with white. I'm not going to color those in at all, because sometimes white really kind of gives it a pop. You know, I did touch upon black and white, right? So black and white, and I'll talk about it right now, but we could go into detail, but I'll just touch on it. Black is considered, can be considered all colors, all the colors together, or it can be considered the absence of color. White can also be considered all colors or the absence of colors. Now, I will say this, when you take a look at look at snow, for example, I know we don't want to talk about snow, but when you take a look at snow, if you're in an area where it does snow, snow acts like a prism, and it reflects all of the colors that are around it. So sometimes snow, even though it's white, is also reflecting maybe a red car that's next to it. So white can also kind of act as that prism type thing. I mean, it mostly happens with snow because of the water that's in it. Do you ever notice snow sometimes looks like it's blue? One time I saw snow that was blue. I think it was the first time I did, and thought to myself, we're being poisoned. What is happening? What is going on? What is falling from the sky? And then I did some research and realized that it's the water content in the actual snow coming together and kind of making that blue look. And it kind of reminded me of, you know, the way the ocean would look when the ocean looks really, really blue. So this brown color here, there's that little cat dude there. That's a good blend of colors that look nice together. Now for this cat, I'm going to use this kind of yellowish color just to kind of make him look like, you know, he's having a fun time. And what would look good with yellow? Really anything would look good with yellow in my opinion, because it's just such a bright color. And I think I'm just going to kind of leave him the way he is. Give him a little bit of some blacker spots. I'm sorry, stripes. Cats don't have spots, right? They have stripes. And then we've got this red heart. And what looks good with red? Some people say that, well, green, right? Green looks good with red. Because when we talk about Christmas time, that's why there's red and green. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly why, but they look good together. So here's our green. And I'll give the post a green color also. And then I guess these guys could be standing on grass that's below them. So let's just give it some green at the bottom. I only use non-toxic products, by the way. I don't use, I've tried alcohol markers, but it wasn't a good thing. I cannot use a Bic Market. I cannot use a Sharpie. So I really only use, if it's non-toxic, I use it. And if you take a look, here's a box of crayons, for example. If you take a look right here, see where this says AP? That's what you want to look for non-toxic when you're using art supplies. I remember one time I had used this fabric paint pens on a t-shirt during a live video, and I was talking the whole time doing the tutorial, and the fumes from the actual pen I guess went into my mouth. I didn't realize it, and I just felt like my lips were swollen. It was just, I realized it was from then. It was from that. Here's some blue. I'm just going to color the inside of here. Now, what looks good with blue? The opposite of blue. The opposite blue could be orange. It could be yellow. But also consider what looks good with it. What complements it. I'm going to say that some orange is going to complement this. Now, these divider lines, I'm not sure. We may leave them white. But let's go with kind of a light orange to kind of complement things on these big circles. And what looks good with both colors is the next question. You know, I mean, people say a lot of times, I don't really know what colors go with one another. I'm not sure what colors to even use. Well, I say to that, you do. Because unless you are wearing, you know, cowboy boots and a fuzzy sweater and, I don't know, crazy plaid pants in the middle of winter, then I think you really do know what you are doing and what you're supposed to be wearing. So for this portion here, let me see if I have, let's see if we have a yellow. I want to see if I have a different yellow though. Hold on one second. There's my box of pencils there. Oh, here it is. This is the one I want. This bright yellow. I'm going to go with a bright yellow behind all of this. I'm going to go with an every other, just in case. You know, sometimes you can start out with that pattern like this, by creating every other space, and then take another look at it and say, well, you know, do I like that? Or maybe I should go with each one. And for this one, I'm saying, I think I am going to go with this lighter orange, which is almost like a beige on the background of this. So, what do you think? Complementary colors? Are you confused by it? Are you like, hey, I got this, you know? I think I can handle this. You don't want to overthink it, you know? You don't want to really overthink what's happening. Now, let's go with what other color do we have here? Have we used green? We have not used green. Let's go with a green color. Well, we used green down there, but let's go with green here. I'm going to color these little sections here with green. Now, what's going to look good with green on the opposite side? I would say that you could use pink with green. You're wearing green. I mean, think of nature. What looks good with green in nature? Green is usually the color of grass or trees or stems and leaves of flowers. So you could easily add some nature colors here, some natural colors. Now, where is that cap? They're always kind of tricking me with these caps. You know, I'm always kind of like moving along. Let's use a pink color. Is there a light pink color in here? I don't really like that other color. Well, I really like how this blue complements it, right? So here's this light blue, and I'm just going to kind of go with streakiness here because I want to create some sort of a texture. And I'm going with every other. These kind of almost look like houses, don't they? You could almost decorate this little section here. And then I'm going to go with this neon green. Because the other part too is I want to kind of take a look at my entire page and say, okay, what colors can I move around and create in different areas to have my art, to create movement as we move up. Now for this middle section, I'm actually going to kind of add some of this blue color, but just add some dots. To kind of give it a decorative look. Not necessarily a pointillism look, but just kind of adding a little bit of dots. You know, when I'm coloring, it's a very unplanned process. It's not about, you know, prepping everything and, I don't know, I just kind of like throw my markers on the table and say, okay, what can I use? This is kind of a salmon color. Again, I'm doing the every other. And maybe in the insides or the in-betweens, I'll do a darker orange. Or we could do a lavender. Let's do lavender. This color right here. This is a pretty color here. So we'll do lavender here, which is the same color as this guy's hat. So again, we're bringing the green up from the bottom or the top to the bottom to make our eye move. We're making our eye move here. So it's kind of creating a rhythm. And all of these things are happening without you even realizing it. So trusting your gut, trusting what you feel looks good, trusting what you want to do in your gut feeling, and, you know, the placement of colors. There's no right or wrong. I think sometimes people overthink it when it comes to coloring, and they think that, oh, it has to be perfect, or it has to be, you know, like a certain way, and it really does not have to be a certain way. Let's use gray here for these vertical lines. Now, what would look good with gray? And this is almost like a steel color, almost a bluish, like a steel blue color. So we talked about orange being the opposite of blue, or yellow being the opposite of blue. And now I've got this color here, which is a greenish color. And look how that looks with it. Looks pretty good. I'm going to color all of this section here. So now, don't forget to hit that notification button, and this way you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Color-alongs are posted every Thursday by 10 a.m. Eastern Time here on my YouTube channel. And sometimes I get them done a little bit earlier, and I'll post them on a Wednesday night, but it just depends what's happening. But they'll always be up by Thursday mornings. I'll go with the blue color here, this light blue. But they'll always be up by Thursdays at 10. Let's go with this color. I didn't like that one. Well, we could do the every others, right? So here's this one. This is kind of a turquoise. So look how those colors look good together. Maybe colors you would have never even realized that, hey, look at that. They actually look good together. And that's when those color palette books come into play. You know, that's when you can really kind of say, wow, I think maybe I will look at that. Just for inspiration. You don't have to use them. But maybe there's colors that you only gravitate to. And I think what happens too is sometimes around the holiday season, we're bombarded, for example, around Christmas time, with everything that looks red and green. And we tend to always gravitate towards picking up that red and green. And then we're faced with Easter, for example, and oh my goodness, here we go with Easter, and they are bombarding us, and I mean, like, you know, retail and stores and marketing and social media. I'm going to do these divider lines with this purple. And they're bombarding us with some pastel colors or some spring-like colors. And if you find that you're coloring things only with those pastel colors, I mean, is it kind of like a subliminal thing where you've been convinced that that's what it should be? So I think that makes a huge difference. You got to pay attention to what's happening. I had to concentrate for a minute there. Oof. Do you ever, like, you're doing something, you're like, okay, no one talk, right? No one say anything. Now, for the rest of this, this is it. I'm going to leave it the way it is. So we talked about complementary colors. And again, you can take a look at my Coloring Handbook Volume 3. And it's in this book right here. These coloring handbooks are really nifty tools to have. And just they're kind of like all of the information from all of my different color alongs all kind of lumped together in these 3 volumes. And the back of each book has 24 coloring pages too, based on the illustrations that you find throughout the book in the either exercises or examples. And this book, for example, talks about not only complementary colors, but contrasting colors is a totally other topic with some different swatches here. I also talk about erasers. Here's another one in a demonstration or a tutorial about how to frame a coloring page. Highlighters and colored pencils is in this book. Blending with markers. And this is the newest one. This is volume 3. Speckling is another technique that's in here. Colored pencil strokes, 5 different strokes, and then you can practice here to hone your skills. Coloring with coffee or tea is in this book. Bokeh backgrounds. This is a really jam-packed, a lot of information book. Grayscale illustration. Sepia, we did a color along for this recently. Marbleizing, this is a cool one, totally different. I don't think we have this coming up in the color alongs coming up for this book. And then what's cool about this book is I have some different articles. Coloring is Therapy, an article about the mandala, finding your creative style, and then using art to heal. So it just is not about a tutorial book, but there's something that you can actually read. And then I have some creativity exercises. For example, this one here, you can do the 100 colors challenge. Set a timer for 10 minutes and fill each box with a different color of any mediums. Resources are here about where to buy your products, a glossary, and then again, coloring pages at the back of the book. So I hope you'll have a chance to check that out. And again, the link is all in the description of this video. So I hope you've learned something today. I hope you'll join me next time. And thanks for watching today. Again, hit that bell so that you get notified every time I drop a new video. And I appreciate the support. Hey, thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.